Let's think of life as an adventure filled with choices and moments that unfold one after the other. Many people see life as a race, with milestones to be reached one after the other, like studying, working, getting married, having children, working more, and after many years, retiring to rest. This idea that life is only about work and productivity is very common, but is it the only way to live? For a long time, people have asked, what is the meaning of life? Today, let's travel back in time to learn about the ideas of people who tried to answer this question. Before continuing with the video, remember to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive notifications of new videos. That way, you won't miss any new content. We'll go to ancient Greece more than 2,000 years ago to a very special place called the Agora, which was a busy square where people sold things, watched performances, discussed politics, life, and philosophy, that is, ideas that tried to explain the world and people. One of these people was a man named Zeno, who began teaching his philosophy of life there. This philosophy became known as Stoicism. Now, why did Zeno create this philosophy? He was a wealthy merchant, but one day, on a sea journey, he encountered a storm and lost everything he had. Only his life remained. Instead of giving up, he decided to try to understand how to accept the things that happen in life without being overwhelmed by strong emotions. This was how Stoicism began, a way of seeing life with calmness and reason. That is, using the mind to deal with feelings and problems. Zeno believed that some things in life are out of our control, like the weather or other people's actions, but we can choose how we react to these situations. He taught that to be happy, a person needs to control their emotions and focus on the things they can change. For example, if someone gets angry at you, you can't control that, but you can choose whether to respond calmly or get angry too. For the Stoics, a wise person can differentiate what they can and cannot control, and always seeks to live with 4 important virtues: wisdom, to understand things in the world calmly; justice, to be fair and treat people with respect; courage, to face fears and difficulties; and moderation, to keep balance and not exaggerate emotions. Stoicism teaches that in life, we don't always get what we want, and sometimes bad things happen, like illness or loss. But even in these situations, we can choose to accept and deal with them with courage and wisdom. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, but rather understanding that strong emotions, like anger or deep sadness, can hinder us if we let them take over. Over time, this philosophy of Stoicism spread to Rome, where it was followed by important people like the philosopher Seneca and Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who wrote a book called Meditations. This book was like a journal where he wrote down thoughts and advice to remind himself to be just and calm, even as an emperor with many responsibilities. So, for the Stoics, happiness is not just about having things or avoiding problems, but it's living with wisdom, justice, courage, and balance, always striving to improve oneself and accept life as it is, with its ups and downs. Marcus Aurelius was one of Rome's most famous emperors and ruled for almost 20 years. Besides being a leader, he was also a Stoic philosopher, meaning he had a special way of thinking about life, death, and daily challenges. Unlike what many people do, Marcus Aurelius didn't like comforting his friends with promises that everything would be fine. Instead, he said something that sounds very different. He suggested that they prepare to face the hardest things they could imagine. He thought that if we're ready to face difficult times, then when they actually come, we'll be stronger and less afraid. Imagine if you asked someone for help, and that person said to you, "There's no point in crying over what can't be changed. Think about the difficulties and learn to deal with them without being carried away by fears or desires." Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics believed that being happy and calm depended on how we respond to problems, not on trying to avoid them. For them, life had to be lived wisely, and that included understanding that many things that happen are out of our control, like the weather, others' decisions, and even our own health. What we can control is our response to all of this. And that was the secret to a peaceful life. Another important point for Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics was the idea of death. To them, death was not something to fear, but rather something that gave value to life. Since life is fragile and can end at any moment, we need to cherish the days we have and live them wisely. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, said that living is like learning to die, meaning to understand that life is a gift we'll eventually have to return, but without sadness, because we already had the privilege to live. Marcus Aurelius criticized how people live as if they were immortal, always postponing what really matters, like spending time with loved ones or doing what they enjoy. Only when they face something difficult, like losing a loved one, do they realize that time is precious and that we are all mortal. Life isn't really short. It becomes short when we spend too much time on things we can't control, like trying to please everyone or worrying too much about future problems. Stoicism, which emerged over 2,000 years ago, was a philosophy taught by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. It teaches that happiness comes from living with virtue and wisdom, even in a world full of uncertainties. They believed that we are solely responsible for our feelings, and that the world doesn't need to be perfect for us to be happy. If you enjoyed the story and want to support the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You can also become a member to further encourage the content. See you next time.